Dear students of class 8A and 8B, welcome to history class. Today a new lesson I am going to re-explain decline of the Mughals and the rise of independent kingdoms. You know, the Mughal Empire was established by Babur by defeating the last Sultan Ibrahim Lodi. But this very dynasty was weakened due to some wrong policies which led to the decline of that very empire. Now, what are the causes? What were the causes the Mughal Empire was disintegrated? Now I am going to discuss. There are certain causes led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. Number one, war of succession. War of succession. Once upon a time, the glory and image of the Mughals reached far and wide. All the Mughal rulers from Babur to Aurangzeb played vital role in their respective fields. After Humayun, Jahangir, after Humayun, Akbar, and after Akbar, Jahangir, after Jahangir, Shah Jahan, after Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb. So they all came one by one and protected the kingdom from being attacked. But the last eminent ruler of the Mughal dynasty, Aurangzeb, just tried to protect the dignity and honor of the Mughals with iron grip. But the wrong religious policy of Aurangzeb led to the decline of the Mughal Empire. But after the death of Aurangzeb, a war of succession started among the three sons of Aurangzeb. Among them, Bahadur Shah I ascended the throne, whose another name was Shah Alam I. Soon after the death of Bahadur Shah I, another war of succession started among the four sons of Bahadur Shah I. Among the four sons of Bahadur Shah I, it was, Jahandar Shah, who came to power with the help of with the help of a noble, Zulfikar Khan. So Jahandar Shah came to power and became Mughal emperor. But after a few years later, he died, and again war of succession started. That very war of succession broke out, causing great political turmoil in Indian history. Why? Because of the system which was introduced by the Mughals. The other rulers also followed it. But unfortunately, after the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughals who came to power one after one, they all were weak. That's why they were known as later Mughals. Later Mughals had no, strategy. Almost all later Mughals were pleasure seeking. That's why they had no capability to administer such a country. They had no skill to solve the internal crisis of the country. They had no, speculation. that they might be attacked by foreign rulers or foreign invaders. They always remain busy in enjoying entertainments, in enjoying various, cultural programs, but they had no attention towards the system of governance. That's why after the death of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, under the weak successors of the later Mughals, the dignity, the honor of Mughal dynasty, which was once established by Babur and also strengthened it during the rule of Akbar, it was disintegrated. The next point, weak successors, means later Mughals, as I discussed, weak successors, and now I am going to discuss about the failure of Zaghari system. Failure of Zaghari and Mansardari system. Failure of Zaghari and Mansardari system. The Mughal officers were given Zagis, means land, as payment for their military services during the time of Akbar. It was a well-organized system introduced by Akbar. The officers who were given Zagis, they were known as Zaghidars. But in course of time, the number of Zagirs had become the number of Zagirs not available, and due to non-availability, due to unavailability of Zagirs, so many lands which were given to the former Zagirs, the entire system of the Zaghari was totally collapsed. Why? Because number of nobles had been increasing, but Zagirs, means lands were decreasing, and as a result of it, the lands which were included, which were known as royal lands, these lands had to give to the nobles as their military services, and it led to loss of revenues of the royal treasury, royal treasury, because the lands which were given to the nobles or Zagirs, and the lands by which the government could impose taxes and could collect taxes for royal treasury. Once lands were given to the Zagirs or given to the nobles, it would lose its revenues, because Zagirs did not have to pay any amount of revenue. The lands which were given to them, all these lands were exempted of taxes. That's why it was a great loss in the royal treasury of the Mughals. The system which was introduced by Akbar, Zaghari system, after the death of Akbar, the Zaghari system was of no use. And another system which was introduced by Akbar, that was Mansardari system. What is Mansardari system? Mansardari system is a system by which a group of people were given special duties and responsibilities to protect protect the sovereignty of the country and to protect the security of the emperor. So these group of people were given mansabs since they maintained the security of the emperor. That's why they were known as mansabdars. So mansabdars also were given land. The Mansardari system became an ineffective method of controlling the Mughal army. It proved. Why? Because by the end of the 17th century, the entire Mansardari system failed to fulfill the function of maintaining troops, and as a result, it led to a decline in the military strength of the Mughals. And next one, Aurangzeb's policies. Next point. Aurangzeb's policies. What policy Aurangzeb had introduced? Aurangzeb's policies. Aurangzeb was a Mughal emperor, introduced his own style, and after 20 years of his administration, after 20 years of his rule, he imposed jizya tax on non-Muslims, and this incident alienated the Hindus, and it was a great loss. All the Hindu kingdoms who had great faith on the Mughals, Aurangzeb lost their faith only because of imposition of jizya taxes on the non-Muslim people. It led to the decline of the Mughal Empire, and dissatisfaction dissatisfaction among the Hindus also had become a great cause for the disintegration of the Mughal Empire. Aurangzeb's wrong policies. Aurangzeb did not allow the Marathas to provide a system of governance where the Marathas would rule. The Marathas would rule independently from their own state. But Aurangzeb wanted to extend his control over the Maratha region also. But the Marathas did not want to be a part of Mughal dynasty. But Aurangzeb forcefully wanted to annex the Maratha kingdoms, the Maratha states with his Mughal dynasty. And hence, the Marathas were determined to overthrow the rule of Aurangzeb. Ultimately, Aurangzeb policy totally failed. Why? Because the Rajput chiefs and other military powers of India, they all declared themselves independent one by one. But initially they did not want to declare themselves independent, but they stopped paying taxes and revenues. So Aurangzeb's aggression towards Rajput led to the loss of Rajput support and allegiance. Now, agrarian and economic crisis. Next point, agrarian and economic crisis. Agrarian and economic crisis. Agrarian and economic crisis. During 18th century, in the 18th century, with the decline of the Mughal authority and Mughal dynasty and increasing pressure in the Zagharis, the agricultural economy began to face a crisis. How? Because the noble Zagharis were transferred. They had no interest in the following any long-term policy for agricultural development. Taxation rates kept rising and the burden of the peasantry increased. Ultimately, the taxes which were imposed on the peasants and farmers, they did not want to pay it. So it gave a birth of discontentment among the peasants and farmers, which also led to a revolt or agitation against the Mughals. That's why this agrarian policy, taxation rates kept rising from time to time, and they had no option but to protest, and this led to many peasants' revolts. One by one, there formed peasant revolts against the Mughal dynasty. And next point, foreign invasions. Foreign invasions mean Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali. Foreign invasions. Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, these two Persian invaders invaded Delhi during the period when Mughal Empire was going to be destroyed forever. The Mughal Empire was going to be disintegrated forever. Although the process was started under the later Mughals, but yet two invaders, Ahmad Shah Abdali and Nadir Shah first and then Ahmad Shah Abdali, set the nail of the coffin of the Mughal dynasty forever. They destroyed all the buildings, especially the buildings, the monument. They destroyed not only plundered wealth. They not only plundered gold coins and other wealth from our country India, but also destroyed so many temples, and by way of plundering huge amount of wealth from our country. After Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali invaded India for several times. So these invasions led to the decline of the Mughal Empire forever. Up to this, my dear students, thank you.